3,000 years of peace had passed on Earth. The planet had changed beyond recognition. Cities floated above the clouds, powered by clean energy that pulsed like quiet lightning. Oceans glimmered under the care of humans who had learned to live with nature, not against it. Humanity had long abandoned weapons of war. They explored the stars, built wonders, and lived lives full of creation and joy. The galaxy knew them as peaceful, wise, and unyielding. But for the first time in millennia, eyes from far away watched them with suspicion and hunger. On the edge of the Sol system, deep in a starless corner of space, the Althar Dominion prepared. Their ships were immense, black as void, and bristling with weapons designed to obliterate entire worlds. The Althar had heard whispers of humanity's achievements, terraforming Mars, harnessing fusion cores to power cities, unifying a species that once fought endlessly. They called humans naive, but they feared them. To the Althar, a species that had gone so long without war might crumble the moment it faced true danger. They were wrong. On Earth, the morning was calm. Birds sang in the forests of New Amazonia. Children ran through the streets of floating cities, their laughter echoing like music across the skies. Scholars studied the stars, unaware that one of those stars would soon become the edge of a storm. In orbit, Commander Alara Voss gazed at the vastness of space. She had trained for every scenario imaginable, but even she could not predict what was coming. Her hand rested on the railing as she watched distant dots blink in the void. Something was moving there, something massive, something alien. The first signs were subtle. A shimmer in the upper atmosphere, faint lights that danced across the clouds like auroras. People paused, pointing, smiling at the unusual colors. Some thought it was a festival of nature, a cosmic celebration, but Alara's heart sank. "This is no festival," she whispered to herself. Her crew noticed the change in her tone. She was not panicking, but her calm carried weight. "Prepare for incoming vessels. All stations report immediately." Across the globe, humans went about their day, blissfully unaware of the approaching storm. Farmers in the fields of New Africa tended to their crops. Engineers in the floating labs of Europa tested fusion reactors. Children played games that required imagination, not violence. Humanity had believed the galaxy would remain peaceful. For 3 millennia it had, but peace does not last forever, and some species measure progress by the fear it inspires. Then the first ships arrived. Not quietly, not slowly. They dropped from the darkness of space like meteors made of black steel. Shadows stretched across the continents. People stopped mid-step. Birds scattered. Entire cities paused as the enormous alien warships blocked the sun. Panic rippled through the first lines of observers. Governments tried to respond, but there were no protocols for this. There had not been in 3,000 years, and yet humanity did not retreat. They did not scream in terror. Children continued to laugh. Workers continued to build. Alara's voice rang out, calm and resolute, through every communication network on Earth. Humanity has lived in peace for 3,000 years. Today we remind the galaxy why we endure. Do not fear. Stand strong. We are ready. Her words spread like fire in dry grass. Panic slowed, replaced by determination. Scientists activated dormant defense systems that had not seen action in centuries. Engineers rerouted power from cities to orbital shields. Human fleets, long idle, powered up with a grace and precision that surprised even the military. They were ready, not because they wanted war, but because they refused to be afraid. In orbit, the Aurora, Earth's flagship, floated silently above the planet. Alara took her place on the bridge, surrounded by her crew. The warships of the Althar loomed like dark mountains, yet she did not flinch. "They think our peace makes us weak," she said quietly. "They are wrong. Peace has only made us stronger. We will survive." Her eyes, reflecting the alien ships in the distance, were steady, unwavering. The aliens opened fire. Beams of energy tore through the upper atmosphere, melting clouds and sending shockwaves across cities. People screamed, ran for cover, and feared the end. But Alara and her crew acted with precision. Shields activated, countermeasures deployed. Drones soared into space, intercepting alien projectiles before they could strike. Humanity did not panic. They adapted as they always had. Below on the streets, children still played and parents still protected them. Farmers dropped their tools and looked to the sky with hope, not despair. Humans had survived famine, disease, and disaster. They had endured wars in the distant past, only to emerge wiser, stronger, and more united. And now, when the galaxy thought they were soft and helpless, humanity stood ready to prove the truth. Peace does not make one weak. It prepares one for everything the universe can throw at them. Ilara's gaze remained fixed on the alien fleet. In the silence before the storm, she allowed herself a small, confident smile. Humanity had waited 3,000 years for this moment, and when the battle came, the galaxy would learn something it had long forgotten. Never underestimate the human spirit. The sky over Earth burned with alien light. Thousands of black ships hung like a storm above the clouds, their sheer size blotting out the sun. The world trembled beneath their shadow. Cities that had stood for centuries shivered as the first alien attacks began. Massive beams of energy tore through the atmosphere, turning mountains into dust and seas into boiling storms. Panic spread like wildfire. Humanity had never faced anything like this. But amid the chaos, something remarkable happened. Humans did not flee. They did not surrender. Instead, they rose with quiet determination, as if centuries of peace had taught them patience, focus, and courage. Commander Ilara Voss moved across the bridge of the Aurora, calm and unwavering. Her voice, steady and clear, echoed through every communication network on Earth. We are human. We endure. Prepare all defenses. Protect every life. Do not panic. Across continents, people listened. The message was simple, but its power was immense. Children clung to their parents. Scientists ran to their stations. And soldiers activated machinery that had not been used in generations. Humanity's strength was not in their weapons, it was in their hearts, minds, and unity. The Althar warships unleashed their full fury. Cities crumbled, skies burned, and oceans roared with destruction. Millions feared the end. Yet humans adapted instantly. Engineers rerouted energy to orbital shields, creating a protective dome over entire continents. Drones rose into the sky, guided by human ingenuity and artificial intelligence, intercepting alien projectiles before they could strike. Humanity fought not with hate but with resolve. Every life mattered. Every human mattered. Ilara's fleet engaged the enemy in space. The Aurora led the charge, weaving between explosions and debris like a living thing. Her crew moved with precision and confidence, responding to threats before they even appeared. They think we are weak, Ilara said to her tactical officer, her eyes fixed on the approaching alien flagship. They will learn how wrong they are. On Earth, the people watched the skies, many with fear, many with awe. Families protected one another, strangers helped each other, and communities came together like never before. The human spirit burned brighter than any weapon. Even as buildings fell and cities shook, humans did not lose hope. Hope was their shield, courage their sword, and unity their greatest weapon. The Althar, for all their technology, were unprepared for this. They expected panic, surrender, and fear. What they received was organized resistance. Entire fleets were disabled by human engineers who had never fired a weapon in anger before. Alien beams of destruction were reflected, absorbed, or deflected. Humans turned the enemy's strength against them, using ingenuity and quick thinking. Ilara ordered the first counterattack. The Aurora surged forward, cutting through the alien line with unprecedented precision. Smaller human ships followed, striking with coordinated strikes that the Althar could not anticipate. Explosions lit the void, but humans moved as one. Every strike had purpose. Every action saved lives. Across the galaxy, the Althar had never seen an enemy fight like this. Calm, fearless, and clever. Back on Earth, civilians watched the battle on screens that once broadcast only news, music, and entertainment. Parents held children close as they saw alien ships destroyed one after another. Fear was there, yes, but it was tempered by awe. Humanity was fighting not just for survival but for honor, dignity, and the promise that they would never bow to tyranny. Even the smallest human actions mattered. A child in New Amazonia pressed a button that activated emergency shields over her city. Farmers rerouted water and energy to protect shelters. Scientists uploaded AI patches to drones mid-flight, saving entire fleets from destruction. Each person, no matter their role, became part of the fight. This was not just a battle. It was a declaration of human resilience. Alara watched the battle unfold from the Aurora's bridge. Her eyes were steady, but her heart raced. The Althar flagship loomed closer, firing beams that could wipe out continents. "Hold your ground," she shouted. "Remember who we are. Remember why we endure. We are humanity, and we do not fear." Then, in the chaos of space, a human drone intercepted a massive alien strike aimed at New York City. The beam split into harmless energy streams, cascading harmlessly into orbit. Humanity had won its first true victory, not through brute force but through intellect, courage, and unity. Across the globe, people cheered, not for destruction but for survival, not for revenge but for life. And in that moment, the Althar realized the truth. Humanity was not fragile. Humanity was not weak. For 3,000 years, humans had prepared, not with weapons but with spirit, hope, and unbreakable resolve. They had smiled through centuries of peace, and now, even as the storm of war raged above them, humans smiled again. Alara took a deep breath. The battle had only just begun, but she knew this. Humanity would not fall. They would endure, adapt, and rise. The Althar had come to crush them, but they would find instead a force the galaxy had never faced before. A force born not of hate but of the unwavering human heart. The alien fleet had expected to find fear. Instead, they found determination. Every human ship, every orbital station, and every citizen was part of a living defense network. The Althar, for all their technology and experience, had underestimated the one thing humans never lacked: imagination. Commander Alara Voss stood on the bridge of the Aurora, her eyes scanning the chaotic battlefield. Alien beams lit the void like deadly fireworks. Explosions rocked nearby ships. Smoke and debris floated in the vacuum of space. And yet she did not flinch. Around her, human crews moved with perfect coordination. Engineers patched damaged systems mid-combat. Pilots dodged impossible odds. Every action was precise, intentional, and purposeful. Alara spoke calmly into the comms. "We will not win this with brute force alone. They expect chaos. Let's give them precision. Let's give them humanity." Her words carried across every ship. Humans had never fought like this before. But centuries of survival had taught them to adapt quickly, to improvise, and to turn the impossible into reality. The first counterstrike was a marvel of strategy. Small drones, no larger than birds, swarmed the alien fleet. Guided by human AI and intuition, they infiltrated enemy ships, disabling engines, communications, and weapons without ever firing a lethal shot. The Althar's commanders watched in horror as their perfectly coordinated attack began to crumble. They fired desperately, but the humans were always one step ahead, adapting faster than the aliens could predict. On Earth, people watched with a mix of fear and awe. Cities shook as orbital battles raged overhead, but humanity's spirit did not break. Children held their parents' hands. Families prayed not out of fear but in hope. Engineers activated shields over entire regions, saving millions. Teachers, doctors, and civilians of every kind contributed in small but vital ways. Every human action mattered. Every human life was part of the fight. Alara's personal mission became the symbol of human resilience. She piloted the Aurora into the heart of the alien fleet, weaving through enemy fire with a calmness that was almost unnatural. She had no intention of destroying for destruction's sake. Each strike targeted critical systems, designed to disable rather than kill whenever possible. She moved like a storm, precise and unstoppable, a human force against a seemingly invincible enemy. The first major victory came when the Aurora disabled the flagship of the Althar warlord. Explosions tore through the alien ship, but Alara's crew celebrated not with triumph but with relief. "We have not defeated them yet," she said, her voice steady. "We have merely shown that we cannot be broken." Humanity's first victory was a message they would endure. They would adapt. They would survive. The Althar grew frustrated. Their attacks became more violent, more desperate. But the humans never panicked. Entire fleets turned alien strategies against them. Alien weapons were reflected, misdirected, or neutralized by the quick thinking of humans who had never seen war before. Small teams on damaged ships repaired critical systems in the midst of explosions. Scientists improvised weapons that could disable entire squadrons. Humanity's resourcefulness became its deadliest weapon. Back on Earth, communities worked together like never before. Hospitals operated under extreme conditions, saving thousands of civilians. Farmers shared resources with shelters, ensuring no one went hungry. Teachers guided frightened children, teaching them not to fear but to understand the power of resilience. Every human being, no matter their role, became a hero in this unprecedented battle. Ilara's calm, confident smile became the symbol of hope. On the bridge of the Aurora, she spoke to her crew. "They came thinking we were soft, thinking we were naive. We are neither. We fight with courage, with intelligence, and with heart. Remember who we are. Remember what we protect. Humanity endures." Her words carried through the fleet, resonating with every human soul. By the end of the day, the Althar had suffered massive losses. Their confidence shattered, they began to retreat, regroup, and rethink their strategy. But humanity did not gloat. Every victory was measured and controlled. Humans had the choice to destroy, but they chose to protect. Their strength lay not just in combat, but in restraint, in wisdom, and in unity. And as the alien ships retreated, humans stood tall, smiling even amidst the destruction. It was not arrogance. It was the calm of those who knew they were capable of surviving anything. Humanity had faced its first true test, and they had not only survived, they had struck back with courage, ingenuity, and an unbreakable spirit. In that moment, the Althar realized something terrifying. Humanity was not fragile. Humanity was not predictable. Humanity was a force unlike any the galaxy had ever faced. They fought with their minds, their hearts, and their will. And even when faced with annihilation, they smiled. Alara looked at the stars, knowing that this was only the beginning. The Althar would return, but so would humanity's resolve. The galaxy would learn sooner or later that humans do not surrender, humans do not fear, humans endure, and when they strike back, the universe trembles. The war had stretched across the solar system, but humans did not break. Every attack by the Althar was met with an answer, every strategy countered with another. On the battlefield, humanity's strength was not in brute force, it was in spirit, creativity, and unity. The aliens could not understand it. They had prepared for fear, for surrender, for chaos, but they had never prepared for a species that smiled even in the face of annihilation. Commander Alara Voss moved across the Aurora's bridge, her eyes scanning countless holographic displays of the ongoing battle. Explosions flashed in space like deadly fireworks, yet her crew worked with precision, anticipation, and courage. Engineers repaired systems under fire, while pilots executed maneuvers so daring they seemed impossible. Every human acted as if the universe itself could not crush their will. "The Althar expect panic," Alara said to her tactical officer, Lieutenant Wren. "They expect chaos. They do not understand the human heart. We will show them what that truly means." Her voice carried calm certainty, a beacon amidst the violence. Every human on the fleet felt it. Every civilian watching from Earth felt it. Humans were not merely surviving, they were defining what survival meant. On Earth, the people played their part. Families shielded one another as orbital strikes lit the sky. Scientists worked feverishly, converting civilian satellites into defense platforms. Engineers guided drones through collapsing cities to save lives. Every contribution, no matter how small, became vital. Humanity fought not for glory, not for revenge, but for life itself, and for the belief that peace once won could endure again. In orbit above Mars, human squads conducted surgical strikes against the alien forces. Using ingenuity rather than raw firepower, they sabotaged enemy supply lines, rerouted energy to disable weapons, and turned the Althar's own technology against them. Even small teams armed only with clever strategies and unbreakable courage caused massive disruption. Every loss the humans suffered was met with resilience, every challenge met with hope. Ilara walked among her crew, encouraging them personally. "Remember," she said softly, placing a hand on the shoulder of a young pilot who had just survived a direct hit. "We do not destroy for the sake of hate. We protect for the sake of love. Every person, every city, every life, we fight for them. That is our power." The pilot nodded, his fear replaced by pride. The human spirit had become a weapon the Althar could not predict. The aliens, frustrated and confused, grew reckless. They struck harder, firing on civilian targets, believing that humans would finally break. But humanity's unity was stronger than any weapon. Entire cities, designed for centuries of peace, became fortresses of ingenuity. Streets flooded with volunteers distributing food, medicine, and supplies. Children and elders alike played their roles in this unprecedented battle, each contributing to the survival of their species. In the vacuum of space, the Aurora executed maneuvers that were thought impossible. Ilara led attacks against the Althar flagship, targeting critical systems rather than indiscriminate destruction. Ships once thought lost were rescued by human ingenuity. Communication networks intercepted enemy codes. Human drones disabled alien fighters mid-flight. Every action demonstrated that humans could think, adapt, and persevere where even the most advanced alien technology could fail. As the days passed, stories of heroism spread. A young medic saved hundreds aboard a damaged transport. Engineers patched an orbital station just moments before a massive energy blast. A family in New Amazonia shielded neighbors from collapsing structures. Each act reinforced the truth. Humanity's strength was not only in technology or weapons, it was in its people, their hearts, and their unwavering will. Even when the Althar unleashed their deadliest weapon, a planet-shattering energy cannon, the humans remained undaunted. Engineers diverted its fire into space, sacrificing machinery rather than lives. Children watched in awe, not fear, as their planet endured. Civilians on the streets cheered as orbital shields held fast. Humanity had become a living testament to endurance, proving that hope could withstand even the darkest storm. Ilara looked at the battlefield, her eyes reflecting both fire and hope. "They cannot break us," she whispered. "They cannot understand us. The human spirit is unyielding, and no matter what they do, we will endure." Around her, every member of the crew nodded. They were no longer fighting a battle, they were setting a standard. Every human action, every choice to survive, every refusal to surrender became a message. Humanity was stronger than fear, brighter than destruction, and wiser than hatred, and so, amid the flames of war, humanity smiled. They smiled not because the battle was easy, but because their hearts refused to break. Every victory, every rescue, every life saved was proof. Humans had endured countless trials, and now, the galaxy would see that peace had not made them weak. It had made them unbreakable. The Althar watched, increasingly fearful. They could destroy cities, cripple fleets, and rain death upon humanity, but they could not destroy the human spirit. That spirit was alive in every soldier, scientist, and civilian. It was alive in every child, every family, and every citizen who refused to bow. And it was alive in Commander Ilara Voss, who led with courage, hope, and unshakable resolve. In the heart of the chaos, humanity had discovered its greatest weapon, itself. The war had stretched across the solar system, but the humans had endured. Cities still stood, fleets still flew, and the people remained unbroken. Each day of resistance had taught them more about the enemy. The Althar believed they had come to crush a fragile species. They had instead encountered a storm, calm, precise, and unstoppable. Humanity had learned their strategies, anticipated their moves, and turned every attack into an opportunity. Commander Ilara Voss gathered her council aboard the Aurora, humanity's flagship. Holographic maps of the galaxy shimmered before them, showing the spread of Althar fleets and vulnerable supply lines. "They think retreating will save them," Ilara said, her voice steady. "They do not understand that humans do not wait for the end. We strike, we endure, we survive. It is time to take the fight to them." The plan was bold. Humanity would attack the Althar homeworld, the heart of their empire. The Althar had expected destruction, chaos, and fear, but they had never expected strategy, foresight, and unity. Thousands of ships, some massive, some small and nimble, assembled into precise formations. Every pilot, engineer, and crew member understood their role. There was no hesitation, only purpose. Across Earth and its colonies, millions watched the preparations. They did not cheer blindly. They worked tirelessly, ensuring that every civilian, every child, and every city was protected. Humans were not only fighting, they were building, repairing, and strengthening, proving that life itself was a weapon more powerful than any alien cannon. As the fleet departed, a wave of pride swept across humanity. Families waved from orbital stations. Scientists monitored the ships, ensuring their engines ran smoothly. Teachers encouraged children to hold hope even in the darkest hours. Humanity's fight was not just military. It was moral, emotional, and spiritual. Every life mattered. Every person contributed. The journey to the Althar homeworld was treacherous. The enemy attempted ambushes, striking with desperation. But humans were prepared. Drones intercepted attacks mid-flight. Fleets adapted to new threats with astonishing speed. Engineers repaired critical systems in the midst of battle. Every challenge was met not with panic but with courage and ingenuity. Ilara piloted the Aurora through debris fields, directing her fleet with calm precision. "Remember," she said to her crew, "they came thinking we would break. They thought we would flee. We are not just fighting for survival. We are showing the galaxy what humanity is. We do not fear. We do not bow. We endure." Her words resonated across the fleet, filling every human with confidence and determination. Small skirmishes became opportunities for humans to learn, adapt, and innovate. Alien communication networks were hacked, supply ships captured, and entire squadrons rerouted by clever strategies. Humanity fought not just with weapons but with intelligence, creativity, and willpower. Every action was deliberate, every move precise. The Althar were struggling to keep up. They had underestimated a species that thrived not only in peace but in crisis. On the surface of Earth, humans prayed, worked, and watched. They monitored the progress of their fleet, knowing that lives depended on both courage and precision. Civilians repaired satellites, patched communication lines, and guided orbital defenses. Every act of service was part of the greater plan. Humanity's strength was not just in combat, it was in unity, cooperation, and the unwavering desire to protect every life. Days passed, and the humans drew closer to the Althar homeworld. The alien empire unleashed its mightiest forces, trying to stop them. Beams tore through space. Ships collided. Explosions scattered across the void like deadly fireworks. Yet humanity advanced, unbroken and unafraid. The fleet moved as one living organism, responding to threats instantly, exploiting weaknesses, and protecting one another with precision. Ilara watched the enemy forces with a quiet intensity. "They are strong," she said, "but strength without understanding is weakness.
They do not know us.
They do not understand what it means to be human. We do not fight for destruction. We fight for life, for hope, for every human who cannot stand here today. That is our power. That is why we endure." And so humanity reached the edge of the Althar Empire, prepared not for mere battle, but for decisive victory. Every human action, every life saved, every clever strategy had brought them to this moment. The tide had turned. The Althar could fight, but they could not predict. They could destroy, but they could not break. Humanity was not only defending, it was taking the fight to the enemy, showing that a species united by hope, courage, and ingenuity could turn even the darkest moment into triumph. In the quiet moments before the first strike, humans smiled. Not because victory was certain, but because they knew themselves. They knew their courage, their unity, and their resilience. The galaxy had witnessed peace for 3,000 years, and now it would witness the human spirit in full force. Humanity would not bow. Humanity would not fear. Humanity would endure, and the universe would never forget. The edge of the Althar homeworld loomed ahead, a dark fortress of steel and fire. Their warships bristled with weapons ready to crush the humans before they could strike. The galaxy trembled under the shadow of their empire, but humanity's fleet advanced without fear. Every human soul knew that this battle would decide the future, not just for Earth, but for every world the Althar had threatened. Commander Alara Voss stood on the bridge of the Aurora, her hands gripping the railing. Around her, the fleet hummed with quiet purpose. Pilots adjusted formations, engineers monitored shields, and soldiers prepared for the chaos to come. Despite the looming danger, the humans did not falter. They had faced annihilation before, and they had endured. This was no different. They expect us to break, Alara said, her voice calm, strong. They expect fear. They expect despair. They will find none. Remember who we are. We fight not for hatred, but for life, for hope, for humanity itself. Move forward. Protect each other. Strike together. End this war. The Althar unleashed their first wave. Massive energy beams tore through space, obliterating smaller ships. Explosions shook the fleet as ships collided and debris scattered. Civilians watching from Earth felt the tremors through communication networks. Yet humanity did not panic. They adapted. Drones intercepted attacks mid-flight. Shields absorbed the force of destruction. Engineers patched critical systems in moments. The human response was seamless, precise, and relentless. Alara piloted the Aurora into the heart of the enemy formation. Her ship dodged beams, weaving through the chaos with uncanny precision. She was no longer just a commander. She was a symbol, a living emblem of human ingenuity and courage. We do not break, she told her crew. We endure. We protect, we fight. That is what it means to be human. The Althar struck again, launching their deadliest weapon. A planet-shattering cannon capable of wiping out entire continents. Human engineers worked frantically, rerouting energy to shields, diverting the blast into space. Sparks flew, alarms blared, but humanity held. Civilians on Earth watched in awe, realizing that their species had mastered not just survival, but ingenuity in the face of overwhelming odds. The battle reached its peak. Explosions filled the void, lighting the stars with fire. Small human squadrons executed surgical strikes, disabling enemy weapons and engines. Pilots risked everything to protect fellow ships. Every crew, every soldier, every civilian on the fleet played a vital role. Humanity fought as one organism, coordinated and unstoppable. Even in the face of destruction, humans showed mercy. Captured alien crews were treated with care, and civilians in occupied worlds were protected. This was not weakness, it was strategy. The Althar had expected hatred, violence, and fear. Instead, they found wisdom, unity, and strength. Every act of restraint, every choice to protect life became a weapon more powerful than any cannon. Alara led the final strike on the Althar flagship. The battle was fierce, but the humans were relentless. Explosions rocked the enemy vessel as engineers hacked their systems. Drones disabled engines and weapons. Pilots executed maneuvers that the Althar could not anticipate. Finally, the flagship was crippled, its command structure shattered. The warlord's plans fell apart, leaving the remaining fleet in disarray. Across the galaxy, humans cheered, not for destruction, but for survival. Families on Earth embraced. Engineers and scientists wiped sweat from their brows. Children clutched their parents' hands, smiling through the fear. Humanity had faced annihilation, adapted, and prevailed. They had not fought for revenge, but for life itself. And they had won. The Althar had no choice but to surrender. Their empire, once feared across the stars, was humbled. They had underestimated humans for 3,000 years. They had expected fragility, fear, and surrender. Instead, they found strength, ingenuity, and an unbreakable spirit. Humanity had shown the galaxy that peace had not made them weak. It had made them stronger than any weapon. Elara looked at the stars, her eyes reflecting both fire and hope. "We have survived," she whispered. "We have endured. And now the galaxy knows who we are. Humanity does not bow. Humanity does not break. Humanity smiles, even in the face of war, because our spirit is unyielding." The survivors of the fleet looked at one another, tired but unbroken. Civilians, engineers, soldiers, and pilots alike felt the same truth. They had faced the impossible, and they had triumphed. The galaxy had witnessed something extraordinary. Humanity had survived its first true test of fire, and it had emerged wiser, stronger, and united. Even as the Althar retreated, they could not erase the lesson they had learned. Humans were not fragile. Humans were not weak. Humans endured, adapted, and fought with courage, intelligence, and heart. The final battle had ended, but the galaxy would never forget the species that smiled in the face of annihilation, a species that refused to bow, and a species whose spirit could not be broken. In the quiet aftermath, as the stars slowly returned to normal, humanity celebrated not with arrogance, but with relief, gratitude, and hope. They had survived the storm. They had defended their home. They had shown the universe the true meaning of resilience. And through it all they had smiled. The war was over. The alien fleets had retreated, their mighty empire humbled. The stars above human worlds were still, save for the quiet hum of repair drones and returning ships. Humanity had survived a war that no one expected them to win. Cities were scarred, ships were damaged, but the people stood unbroken. They had endured the impossible, and through it all they had smiled. Commander Elara Voss stood on Earth's tallest tower, gazing at the night sky. The scars of battle still lingered in orbit and on the surface, but the air was filled with relief, hope, and pride. Millions of humans watched the stars, understanding that their species had done more than survive. They had proven something fundamental to the galaxy. Peace does not make a species weak. Peace strengthens the soul, sharpens the mind, and prepares the heart for anything the universe can throw. Across the planet, humans worked together to heal the wounds of war. Engineers repaired cities, scientists restored communication networks, and farmers shared food with those in need. Survivors embraced, laughed, and cried together. Children who had been afraid of the alien invasion now ran through the streets with joy, learning that hope and resilience could survive even the darkest hours. Humanity's triumph was not only in victory, it was in compassion, unity, and care for one another. Elara walked through the rebuilt streets of New Amazonia, speaking to people and offering encouragement. "We have endured centuries of peace," she said softly to a young family. "And now, even in the face of war, we have shown the universe who we truly are. We fight when we must, but we protect and love always. That is what it means to be human." The family nodded, holding their children close, feeling the truth of her words. Across the galaxy, the Althar watched in disbelief. They had expected humans to be weak, fragile, and submissive. They had expected surrender. Instead, they had encountered a species that could endure, adapt, and strike with precision when needed. Humans had fought with courage, intelligence, and mercy. They had smiled in the face of annihilation, and that simple, unyielding spirit had won the galaxy's respect. The human fleet returned to Earth in quiet triumph. Pilots waved to civilians as ships descended, carrying not just soldiers but hope, survivors, and the promise of a new beginning. Humanity had faced the ultimate test, and they had not only survived, they had rewritten the galaxy's understanding of strength. Peace had not weakened them. It had made them resilient, creative, and unstoppable. Alara stood once more on the Aurora's bridge, looking at her crew. "We have fought not because we hate, but because we love," she said. "We have endured not because we are perfect, but because we refuse to surrender. Today the universe has seen humanity at its best, and they will remember it." Her crew nodded, proud and exhausted, understanding that this was more than a victory in war. It was a victory of spirit. Humanity celebrated in ways that did not glorify war. There were songs, yes, but also stories of courage and selflessness. Families honored the lives saved. Engineers commemorated the clever solutions that protected millions. And children learned that true strength was in unity and heart. Humanity had been tested, and it had endured with grace. Even the author could not deny the lesson they had learned. Humanity's strength was not just in technology or firepower. It was in the mind, the heart, and the courage of every individual. Peace had made humans strong, not soft. Their compassion had been their shield, their creativity their sword, and their unbreakable spirit the force that could not be defeated. As the sun rose over Earth, casting golden light on the scars of battle and the rebuilt cities, humans smiled. They smiled not out of arrogance, but out of resilience, courage, and hope. That smile carried a message across the galaxy. Humanity endures. Humanity protects. Humanity triumphs, not because they seek war, but because they are unyielding in the face of it. Alara looked at the horizon, her heart swelling with pride. 3 millennia of peace may have ended, she whispered. But we have survived stronger than ever. We have shown the galaxy that humanity is unbreakable. We smile, we endure, and we thrive. And so the galaxy learned a truth that would never be forgotten. Humans were a species that could endure anything, protect everything, and face the storm with a calm, unyielding smile. The universe had witnessed their courage, their unity, and their indomitable spirit. In the quiet aftermath of war, humanity did not celebrate destruction. They celebrated life. They celebrated the heart that refused to break. And that simple, powerful human smile won the galaxy. In every city, every colony, and every ship returning home, humans whispered the same thought: they had survived. They had endured, and they had proven, without doubt, that the human spirit was unstoppable. And through it all they smiled, knowing that no force in the galaxy could ever take that away.